I was very fortunate because I grew up in the English countryside and I lived in a little village called Hartwell in Northamptonshire. And my father was a village grocer. I also worked from being very young. I used to deliver newspapers, and in those days we had a sack over my shoulder, and there'd be about 50 newspapers in that sack. And I would go from door to door in the mornings, take my dogs with me early in the morning at 6 o'clock, and the first door that I came to was the pub door. And they always left the key through the letterbox. So I'd pull the key through the letterbox, open the door and go in. And they always had a big bell over the bar. So the first thing I did was shake the bell to waken them up. And they'd shout, "Thank you, Sonya." And then I'd go through to the kitchen, put the newspaper on the table, and the cats would be waiting for. 5 cats would be sitting there waiting for me. Because every night before Mrs. Gardner, the publican's wife, went to bed, she'd put the milk on the table, she'd set up all the table for breakfast, because in those days we didn't have central heating, so the milk wouldn't go sour overnight. It was often freezing cold. So I'd go in, take the saucer off the milk, let the cats come and drink all the milk, pop it back on the table and put the saucer on the top without them even knowing it. They'd all had a good drink of milk before I left. So I had quite a big paper round to do. But usually I wakened people up. That was part of my work, delivering papers. And I'd also take their dogs with me. So their dogs would come with me, and I'd do the whole paper round, and I'd go knocking on doors. And there was one particular lady whose cats I used to talk to. And sometimes she'd come out in the morning and say, "Good morning, Sonya." And other times a door would be closed and the cat would be outside. So the cat told me that when the village policeman came and her dad was away, the village policeman used to stay all night. And that was the only time her mum shut her out. And could I ask her mum not to do that? So I went back to the village shop where I lived. And then one morning, there were a lot of customers in the shop, full of customers, and her mum came in. So I said to her mother in front of everybody, "Oh, I've been talking to your cat. And your cat told me that the village policeman comes and stays the night when your husband's away, and please don't shut him out of the bedroom." Well, that started tongues wagging, and my father was furious with me, but I was only doing what the cat had asked me to do. So this was my life as a little girl growing up in the English village. And the English people in the village used to accept that I could talk to animals. They just said, "Your daughter can talk to animals." And he used to say to me, "My father, you've got a vivid imagination." Well, he was absolutely right, because that's how we talk to animals, through our imagination.